Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest instalment of our Innerva interview series, where we speak to people who are interesting and often inspiring across a wide range of sectors. And today, I'm really pleased to be joined by Mandy. So, Mandy Young of Adrenaline Alley. I won't introduce her any further and steal her thunder and let her do that herself. So, Mandy, over to you. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Adrenaline Alley.
Hi Liz, I'm Mandy, as you say, and I am CEO and founder of Adrenaline Alley, which was a grassroots nucleus group that was born from a night of antisocial behaviour against my son. That started 21 years ago, and over the last 15 years, we have just expanded and developed and been on an incredible journey, and we're now the biggest skate park in the world.
Actually, you were co-founder alongside your son, weren't you?
Yeah, John was born just a normal baby, and up until the age of 2 was just thriving, and he got ill and never really got any better over the years. And by the time he was 9, he was anorexic and had quite a lot of trauma because he'd been in hospital from the age of 2. So obviously you start to become a bit institutionalized by these kind of systems. And it was a heck of a disruption for the family, in the sense that we didn't know what was wrong. And then at the age of 9, we were in Great Ormond Street for probably about 2.5 years at that point. And it got to the stage where I kind of was just like, I've got to take this boy home. He's got to have some sort of normality. And they said, look, we've done all the tests and there's nothing wrong with him. So, you put your faith in these people, and you go by what they say. So we took him home, and he collapsed again, and we rushed him back to Great Ormond Street, and literally 2 weeks later, he was diagnosed with a brain tumour that they suspected he'd had since birth. So he underwent a major operation. He was given 6 weeks to live at that point. That then resulted in radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And finally, at the age of 13, he came home. So obviously, going through that and never being believed, always being told, you're doing it for attention, things like that, it just ruined him. It was so difficult for him to come to terms with all the years of being told, there's nothing wrong with you, and you're just doing this for attention, behave yourself type of regimes, and being locked in rooms to eat and not being allowed, we weren't allowed to go and see him, things like that, just to try and jolt him out of this, what they called was a mental health problem, which obviously it was. But he came home, and we were basically just told to get on with it, which was very difficult because his tumour was in his brainstem right down to his spinal cord, which affected his hypothalamus. So his body clock was back to front. So he was awake all night and asleep all day. So that was quite challenging. But he started to go out, and he met one of my current managers, just in the neighbourhood skateboarding, and it was a case of, we don't care what you look like, okay, you've got no hair, you've had cancer and that, but you're on a board, mate, so whatever you do, you're going to get our respect. And to John, that just meant the world, because he didn't have to work hard, he didn't have to explain himself, and they were just like, we'll teach you, just get on the board, mate, that's all that matters, is you're on the board. And then unfortunately, one night he went out with a skateboard and his guitar, and he was targeted by some local louts and beaten up really badly. Broke his ribs, his fingers, his jaw. And he came in to me that night and he said, Mum, he said, it wasn't the attack. He said, I've had enough abuse on my body. He says, I can take that. He said, it was the mentality that they knew me. They knew I had a brain tumour, and they just said to me, you're going to die anyway, so we'll give you a hand. And that was what he couldn't get over, was how other people could think like that towards another human being. So I said, you know, we've all been through one hell, John. We're not going through another. You know, you can't let these people beat you. And I said, you know, we've got to get you out. You've been enjoying yourself. You've got to get back to some normality. You know, what have we got to do to be able to let you be safe and enjoy what you're doing? And he said to me, Mum, it's not just the skateboarders. It's, you know, the BMXers, it's the inline skaters. Scootering was starting to come alive then. And he said, you know, they're all targeted. And I was, what do you mean you're targeted? And he says it's because we're a different type of group. You've got like, you know, like the mods and rockers were in my day, you know, that type of environment. And he said they just target us because we get moved on everywhere we go. We get told by residents, we get told by the council, the police, and we just don't have anywhere to do what we're passionate about. So I said, right, get everybody together and let's have a chat, you know. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing, honestly. I didn't know an ironing board from a skateboard. It was as simple as. So eventually I went to what was Rockingham Speedway at the time in Corby. And I thought, well, you know, that's the wheels venue of Corby and everything we do is wheels. Let's give it a shot. So we went up there and John and I spoke to Ashley, who was the CEO at the time. And he went, yeah, I get it. There's £35,000. There's some land. Get on with it. Go and buy yourself a skate park. And I was like, what?
Okay.
I don't know the computer on.
Yeah.
I was frightened to death, I've got to be honest. But it was the kids that were driving me on. You know, it was their vision that captured me, if you like. And I think also it was seeing what was coming out with the sports as well. It wasn't just about being healthy by doing the sports. It was all the social interaction and the health and well-being. And I think that was what captured me probably more than I realised at the time. But, you know, we had become a social enterprise as well. This wasn't just about a skate park. It was about fundraising. It was about employment. It was about education. It was about training. It was about so many different things, you know, for me as well on my learning journey, if you like. And I approached Ashley and said, look, you know, we're going to have to go indoor. We just can't keep doing outdoor. And he said, well, I'm selling Rockingham Speedway. Whoever buys it, I'm going to, you know, have words and see if they can provide somewhere indoor. And that happened. We ended up with a 52,000 square foot old chicken processing factory, which needed a lot of cleaning.
It certainly looks different now. I'll testament to that.
And from that point on, really, we've just organically grown and grown and grown to a point where we've trebled the business. We've got a 6-acre site. We've got 3 buildings. We've got outdoor. We've got indoor. We employ 30 people. We have all the education and training. We have meeting rooms, photography studios. We have 5 other businesses running from the site. So as a social enterprise, you know, we can make sure that all of those profits and that rental income right across the board really is put back into the organisation.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing the story, Mandy. Every time I hear it, you know, it brings a tear to my eye. And something that really struck me is that you were almost like the lioness, you know, protecting your son and wanting something good to come out of it. And look what you've achieved. Like, I just think it's absolutely amazing and something that is continuing to grow, because as well as kind of the Adrenaline Alley arm, this is how we have kind of come to partner together. You've recently opened Active in Motion. How did you see that fitting in with your current offering?
I think it was just about enhancing the kind of well-being and the social interaction for those people that didn't necessarily do the sports, but were also coming to the facility or knew about the facility or supported the facility. And it was about thinking about how we can integrate those people into what we do as a charity, you know, putting the kind of sports side of it to one side. And I went to a local club with toning tables, and I found they were really, really good and helped me with the menopause and my joint problems. And I just thought, you know what, this is kind of good, but the equipment they had wouldn't have suited everybody, because it was like you were lying down all the time. So people with disabilities, that would have been more difficult. So obviously that was when I started researching came across Innerva and just looked more into the type of equipment that you did. And, thankfully, you provided everything we needed.
So it's great to hear kind of what you're doing with Active in Motion. It's been open for a couple of months now. And last month, or the month before, you finally launched your son's legacy. So can never say it, the John Chard Legacy Fund, which is very, very exciting. So tell us kind of a bit about that fund and how that links into Active in Motion and what you're doing with that arm of the business.
I've had John's fund running since he passed away in 2010, but I've been so busy here just trying to get this to where it needs to be. And fundraising for Adrenaline Alley, I've struggled to fundraise for him as well. And we did some work with some schools and with music and children that needed instruments, but I didn't feel long term it was really having enough impact, especially from where I think John would have wanted it to go, which was people who were in need and people with disabilities, because he experienced what that was like to be in a wheelchair and for people to, judge you because you have a mental health problem and what that means to that person. And he experienced all of that. And I felt that giving an instrument to a child wasn't quite fitting in line with what I wanted his charity to be.
Yeah.
So I just felt that when we decided to do Active in Motion, this was the perfect opportunity to set John's fund up under the Northamptonshire Community Foundation. And what we did was we created 3 different strands, and that was giving free sessions to those who may be who are affected financially for Adrenaline Alley or for Active in Motion. And then we could offer people therapies. So if anybody is coming to Active in Motion and may need, a chiropractor or a sports massage, things like that to help them to improve, we can provide that free of charge. And then we've also got counselling, which, as we all know, at the moment, mental health is a massive issue. And, there's just not enough counsellors. They've all got waiting lists and people are really struggling.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that also people in the sports where there is a very high percentage of male suicides in these sports, which has been worrying me for a long time. So I wanted to open up that counselling kind of channel, if you like, to make sure that anybody that is in that situation can contact us and can also use the counselling services to have a greater impact on their exercising and their health and well-being. And the one thing for me that was really important, which I've learned doing this for many years, is there's too many funders out there that do a one-off project and then they expect you to sustain it for the reason they have started it, which may be for something like mental health and well-being. They're so difficult to sustain unless you charge people. You can't. It's impossible.
Of course.
So what we want to do is in the first year, we're not looking at how many people we fund so much as the people we do fund will be long-term. So they'll get an initial 12 sessions, for example, and then the counsellor can refer them back to us to say, this person is still in need of this help. We need another 6 or 12 sessions, and we will fund that. And then obviously with the Active in Motion exercising and the social interaction they're having there as well, they're feeling better, they're getting more confident. It's just all of that long-term impact, for me, is what's needed.
Absolutely. And Mandy, I mean, what an amazing kind of complementary set of services to offer people who are in need. And like you say, it's not a short-term kind of patch you up, move you on, because let's be honest, with mental health, that's not the way that it works, and I suppose lastly, because I think we've gone over the planned time, which I always thought might happen, I just wanted to touch on you personally. I mean, you are an absolute inspiration, and you've actually been honoured for that. So you have an MBE, and you're also Deputy Lord Lieutenant of Northamptonshire. I didn't think I'd get that out properly. So how did these honours come about, and kind of what do they mean to you personally?
Oh, I mean, I was blown away by it. I was so overwhelmed, particularly with the MBE. I didn't know where any of it was going on. I just, it was actually really ironic because we were going on holiday, and this letter arrived, and my husband put it on the table, and he said, "I think you better open that." And me being me, I was like, "Oh, just leave it there. It'll be fine till we
Be
get
all
back.
right.
No point in worrying about anything now. It'll be nothing important, nothing to worry about." And he went, "No, you need to open this one." I was like, so I opened it, and my husband burst into tears. And I was like,
Oh,
"What's the matter with you?" And then I just don't think I took it in,
yeah.
And it was almost like, I'm not very good with compliments. I like to give, I don't like to take. I just like to give. And he just went, "Do you understand what this means?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, but it's not just about me, it's about everybody that's been involved." And he went, "No, this is about you. You've got to take this one." And I'm like,
100%.
"But I can't. I couldn't have done it without other people." But anyway, I've learned, learned,
What's it? The gracious thank you.
learned to say I have an, and I was so fortunate because I did get it from the Queen. So that's going to be a
Oh,
with me for the rest of my life. And then David Lang, who was Lord Lieutenant and President now of Adrenaline Alley, awarded me with the Deputy Lieutenancy. And again, that was so humbling because he's been such a supporter of Adrenaline Alley. And to be at the heart of my community, I'm a Corby girl born and bred. So to be at the heart of the community and get out more into the community and understand what else is going on, and networking and communicating with everybody out there, and across the county as well. It's not just about the Corby community, it's learning what goes on anywhere else. That's been a lovely learning curve for me, and an honor to meet so many people that make such a difference in the community, to be perfectly honest. It's very humbling.
oh, well, I'm so glad that we could shine spotlight on you, Mandy, as uncomfortable as that may make you, and just to have the opportunity to have this chat. Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to share more and more stories of what comes out of Adrenaline Alley and Active Emotion and future plans. So thank you very much, and yeah, watch this space for more news.